just use a whiteboard rather than have the case up here. So let's read. We're going to start out with vancomycin, okay? ZZ is a 22-year-old female with acute leukemia. She was admitted to the hospital following her last cycle of chemotherapy for fever, chills, and neutropenia. You know what neutropenia is? Well, leukemia is, but neutropenia, do you know what that is? Low neutrophils, right? Low white count, which puts you at great risk because that's what chemo does. A lot of chemo wipes out your white cells and then you can't fight infection. So you're at risk for infection. So she's got low white cells, which, so when you start having a fever and chills, you're worried, right, that they've got an infection. Started empirically on piperacillin, which is a fancy penicillin. So it's going to be also a time-dependent killer, isn't it? And gentamicin we know is an aminoglycoside, which is a concentration-dependent killer. She weighs 50 kilograms and she's 67 inches. Her labs include a BUN of 7 and serum creatinine of 1.9. So that's a little high. Is she dehydrated? No. 3 days into her antibiotic regimen, she is still spiking temperatures and has blood cultures positive for methicillin-resistant Staph aureus, or MRSA. Intravenous vancomycin is to be added to her antibiotic therapy. The MIC for vancomycin against the MRSA is 1 milligram per liter. Thank goodness. So determine initial loading dose. Initial dosing, I think I meant to say maintenance dose and loading dose using ClinCalc and global RPH. Okay, so we're going to go to, let's all go, where do you want to go first? ClinCalc or global RPH? ClinCalc. Well, I don't do this every day anymore, so I can't be as helpful on this as some of the folks that practice more often. But okay, so welcome to ClinCalc, get out of there. All right. So you can see, oh, you can't see? It's not doing it? Because I didn't share. Stop share, share, screen. Can't see it still, right? No. Great question, though. That's kind of a debate that you would have, you have on your team. My philosophy is be very aggressive with the antibiotics because the antibiotics give you a chance to actually live. Because you're going to die from the infection if you don't treat the infection, right? And most of the nephrotoxicity, which I didn't tell you, Harbin, which is why that's such a good question, is most of the nephrotoxicity is reversible. So even if your kidneys like get really wiped out by the antibiotic, you might have to be on dialysis for a little bit, but then once you get a chance to get it out of your body, the nephrons will usually heal. So I'd rather have them be alive with kidney problems, even if it has to be forever, than dead with good kidneys, right? That was what I'd always say. Do we want them does everybody want a dead person with good kidneys or a live person with bad kidneys? What are we going to go for, Now, why can't I get this to share? Ugh. Is it still not sharing? Oh, it is now? Okay, good. All right. So as you can see here, the popular calculators, you have creatinine clearance and GFR, drug stats database. Apache scores, how to pronounce drugs. That might be helpful to you guys as you're learning drugs. If you don't work in a pharmacy, it helps if you work in a pharmacy because you hear it and then you know, even though maybe someone's mispronouncing them in your pharmacy too, but it's helpful to have that. You got that opioid analgesic calculator, phenytoin calculator, which we'll talk about. We'll talk about phenytoin in your third professional year when you do neuro. It's an anti-epileptic. And what we're interested in is the vancomycin calculator, right? So look at that, vancomycin calculator with Bayesian modeling. So that shouldn't scare you anymore, right? You should be, yay, it's gonna do the Bayesian stuff for me, hooray for hooray. Okay, so what's the body weight? What's her actual body weight? 56. Just before we go on, you know, talking about weights here, is she overweight, underweight? What is she? Right on? Someone figure out her, you know how to figure out ideal body weight? Someone figure out ideal body weight for a 67-inch woman. So I think it's, you get 5 pounds for every inch over 5 feet. So that's 135, which I'm sure that's more than 56 kilograms, I'm guessing. I do it in pounds because mostly, what do you got? She's underweight, under her ideal body weight. Does everybody agree? Do you need me to do it, or are you good with figuring this out on your own? Yes, you're good? Okay, so, but by looking at her, I think she's probably under her ideal body weight. So what weight are we gonna use to dose on? If somebody's under their body weight, under ideal body weight, what are we gonna use? Her actual body weight, absolutely. Why would we dose on some made up ideal body weight if she's less than that, right? So we're gonna use that 56 kilograms. And she is 67 inches. Make sure you check the units. A lot of times these are preset at centimeters. Who knows what a centimeter is in height? No, it's hard to convert. It's 2.54, right, is the difference. She's a woman, and I would say, yes, she's critically ill. We don't really know that, though. I don't know. That's, I guess, up to you. Now, when you get into the modeling, you can choose. So you can choose whether you're using Matsky, which is what I used, which is basically using population kinetics to guess what their K is based upon their creatinine clearance. Okay, so it determines it determines their clearance based upon their creatinine clearance. So you can use Matsky, you can use Bauer. Those are just two people that did research on this, on how you could estimate the patient's clearance. But I say, let's use Bayesian if we have it available. Same thing with volume of distribution. There's all kinds of different choices. Now here, if they're morbidly obese, you want to choose that one. But here's your other choices for this. But I'm again going to use Bayesian. Yes, I want a loading dose. Why would I want a loading dose? You guys don't really know what a half-life is for vancomycin, but it's usually like 8 hours. So 8 times 5, 40. Do you want to wait 2 days in this woman who's got no white cells and still continues to have a fever? Heck no, because this could be the bug that's causing the problem. So we want to make sure we get it in there. So I'm going to say yes, a loading dose. And if you, these little question things send you to information to help you understand that. So that's pretty cool. I wonder if I can get back now though. Yeah. Okay, so anytime there's a question there, it'll tell you what to do. Okay, renal function, she's not receiving. So this is telling us that we should be doing 25 to 30 milligrams per kilogram with a 3-gram maximum for her loading dose. So what's her creatinine? Thank you. And that's in milligrams per deciliter. And her age is, and right now we have no drug levels available. So this is called empiric dosing, which means we're guessing, right? So we're going to calculate it. So it says to give a loading dose of 1,500. So is that not magical? Do you love that so much more than doing all the calculating we would have to do this? Okay. So 1,500 milligrams. I told you we roll in 250 milligram increments for vancomycin. The dose is a gram every 24 hours over an hour. And with that, predicted PK is that the AUC over MIC is going to be 504. And our goal, remember, is 400 to 600. So it's pretty nice, isn't it? I have a peak of 27 and a trough of 15.9. It even draws you a little picture of what's going to happen. Do you love it? And I know, and here you can look if you like other things better. So here's other choices. You can select them, and then it'll actually print out something you can put right in the chart if you want to. The other thing about all these dosing, both this one and global RPH, is it tells you what you're doing. So here's how you extrapolate this equation here. Does this look familiar to you? CP equals CP0 times e to the negative KT. Does that look familiar? That's how you extrapolate, right? Moving after on that, on the around on the that line. All of this stuff, clearance is VD times K. All this stuff should look familiar to you. Right, this is dose rate over clearance times your fraction of steady state at your time of infusion, plus your trough is your extrapolated peak. Right, explains to you, that's what, to me, you really have to be able to believe what this calculator is doing. I don't like it when people blindly pluck things in, and any monkey can do that, right? You know, but you're a pharmacist, so you should know why it's doing and what it's doing, which is why I want it. You need to know the long way and what it's all based upon before you start using these calculators. Okay. So here's kinetic parameters. Here's a progress note that you can, wait, where is the progress note? Oh, you have to agree to that. So then you can print this and put it right in the progress note if you want to. It's pretty ridiculously long and silly. I wouldn't put anything that complex in there because they'd all be like, what the heck is this? Okay. So what do we decide? We're going to give a 1,500 milligram loading dose and then 1,000 every 24 over an hour. Is that what we decided? So we want to give the loading dose over an hour and a half or 2 hours. And then 24 hours later, we're going to give a gram every 24. You like it? You all understand it? So one of the things I wanted to point out here is her half-life is 30 hours. So when is she going to be at steady state? Like 150 hours, which is how many days? A bunch. A week. Should you wait a week? Probably not. She's critically ill, I think, right? So you want to be sure you're checking to make sure that she's getting better. Making sure, checking on her kidneys. Again, I'd rather have her alive with bad kidneys, but that's just me. Checking on the kidney function. It's hard to check ototoxicity because usually you lose those. They lose those very high frequencies first. The people that you worry about most are like very highly technical musicians that rely on that, but you usually don't see it, and you worry about it in babies, to be honest, too. But most people, if they're going to lose some, it's not, they don't notice it. Okay. Now, do you want to look at, wait, maybe I'm going to leave that there. Want to look at global RPH? I find global RPH much harder to use myself. I really like ClinCalc better for dosing. So here's global RPH. Okay, and we're going to put vancomycin here. Maybe I should give you a little tour first, though. So here you can see, well, here you can see all kind of the menu. And here's vancomycin. Oh, I don't want that. I did the wrong thing. Creatinine clearance. No. Vancomycin dosing with area of the curve. So what's our AUC target? 500. You like that? AUC over MIC. When we say AUC target, that's AUC over MIC for 24 hours. Her age is 22. She's a female. Her creatinine is 1.2, 1.9. Oh, make sure your units are right. Height, see this one's in centimeters. 67 inches. And she weighs 50 something. Thank you. 56 kilograms. She does not weigh greater than 1.2 times her ideal body weight. We don't have any concentrations available. And does it say anything about a loading dose here? Oh, here we get to choose the volume of distribution, which we want 0.65. All right. It's set the desired peak for us at 35 and 12 and a half. All right, and so we're gonna infusion time an hour. That's probably good. So we're gonna calculate it. So it's recommending a dose of 799 milligrams. That's kind of silly, right? So we'd either do 750 or 1,000 milligrams every 27 hours. Oh, brother, that's dumb too, right? It's probably every 24 hours. So here's where we get to adjust it. So it's going to do what exactly you should do. So do you want to do 750? We can do both. Let's do both. So 750 every 24 hours. We'll stick with 1 hour and we'll calculate it. So we're going to give 750 every 24 hours. And we can see that the peak will be 33.2, the trough 13.54, and the MIC, area under the curve over MIC, is 528. That's fine too, but it's different, isn't it, than the ClinCalc? Let's see what it is if we want to change it to 1,000 like we had in the ClinCalc. Now we have an area under the curve over MIC of 700, which is over our range, isn't it? So it's interesting that they gave different recommendations, didn't they? One said 750 and one said 1 gram every 24 hours. So then what are you going to do? You're going to do whatever you have the most confidence in. And as you use more, you'll get more confident in one method or another. Because the ClinCalc is Bayesian, I would probably go with Bayesian. I'd rather be more aggressive. You know me, I'd rather have bad kidneys in a live person. But that's my general view of the world. But you will have your own.
So how do you do a loading dose if you're limited to 1 gram per hour for vancomycin?
You can give it over 4 hours if you have to. I mean, we say a max of 3 grams, so you would at the the max, you're probably gonna go 3 hours, 3 grams, 3 hours, and that would be in a big person. Not in her. Because remember, we don't care about the peak, do we? You know, it all comes back to the pharmacodynamics and think about, do we care about a high peak? No. So as we give it over a longer period of time, as we increase that time of infusion, we're blunting the peak, aren't we? And that's okay in this case. Good questions. All right, are we ready to move on to the next? All right. So the medical